Right, so it's 2019, it's the year that a lot of phones lost their headphone jack, RIP headphone jacks. And of course, because of that, the need for TWS already skyrocketed. And actually, for me, in 2019, audio lovers should have one TWS in their kit, in their collection. So I'm gonna help you here. I have the top rated budget TWS here in this channel, and I've been listening to them for a while, and I'm gonna give you my top 5 best sounding TWS here in the channel. So of course, in this top 5, we're mainly focusing on the sound quality. Of course, if you need more information about these TWS, I'm gonna have a full review. Of course, subscribe for that here in the channel. So let's start off with number 5. So the number 5 here in the channel is the TRN T200. So this is actually my recently reviewed TWS here in the channel. Links up here. So the TRN T200 is a super shimmery sounding TWS. It's a dual driver system with a BA on top and dynamic driver at the bottom. And because of that BA on top, it makes it a super duper airy kind of sound. So it's a V-shaped sound with elevated highs. So for clarity focused people, you might like this. It's a very shimmery top. And because of that shimmery top, it makes this an exciting sounding TWS. Mids for me, there's enough detail, but I find it too thin or too hollow for me. So definitely mids is the weakness in this. The bass is substantial and also boomy, but definitely it's not, super duper forward in the mix. And definitely there's some wow factor here because of that chi-fi peak on top. However, this makes it a bit artificial sounding for me. A bit too peaky for me. So this is actually more expensive compared to our number 4. This gets lower marks for me because of that kind of artificial peaky highs and a kind of hollow mids for me. So this is an okay contender. So definitely if you wear this on your ear, this has some wow factor for clarity focused people. You might find this enjoyable for you. However, of course, there are better ones here in this channel. Number 4 in our list, and what might be the best value out of all this bunch, is the Halo GT1. So the Halo GT1 is a fairly balanced sound but has a bass boost. So compared to the T200, this is now a more coherent sound across the range, a more kind of right sound. It has no peakiness compared to what you get with the T200. The mids here are still recessed, of course, but more forward compared to what you get with the T200. The presentation here is more smooth compared to the T200. The T200 is more clean in presentation. The highs are less peaky, still has a lot of highs on top, but less shimmery compared to what you get with the T200. The mids are more detailed in this. Definitely the T200 has more kind of hollow mids. The bass quantity is similar. However, the detail overall is frankly lower compared to the T200. The T200 has better detail compared to these. The T200 is still faster in response over these one. But because the signature in the GT1 is better, kind of a more right sound across the range, I would say this is better for me compared to the T200. So this is just a $20 pair, and I like this better compared to the $40 pair that we have with the T200. So definitely there's a lot of value that you're getting with the Halo GT1. Next in our list is very famous in the community. This is the Sabat X12 Ultra. And now frankly, we're going to the big boys. This is the more popular ones in our top 3. So the X12 Ultra is actually a fairly balanced sound that has bass elevation at the bottom. So much like the Halo GT1, I find the signature here better compared to the T200. So the detail here is better compared to the GT1. The vocal region is more rich and detailed compared to both the GT1 and T200. So switching back and forth, both the T200 and the GT1 sounds more hollow in the vocal region and more thin in the vocal region compared to this one. The bass is more tight and also more clean in presentation. So actually for bass heads, you might find this a bit lacking. So for bass heads, you would want that kind of boomy and forward kind of bass. This is not like that. It's more of a controlled kind of bass. The presentation here is more in the clean side. Actually, this does remind me a lot of AirPods in terms of the overall presentation. There's also some air, so this is more of a lively listen. Also a lot of energy in the sound. So yes, definitely a lively, kind of exciting listen. Well, frankly, the stage here is a bit narrow, kind of intimate, not the strength of the Sabats. I still like the overall sound quality because of the better signature and also better detail retrieval. And of course, a more rich sound with the Sabat X12 Ultra. But if I'm gonna nitpick, the vocal region, well, still better compared to our previous TWS. Is still a bit veiled for me. Also, the fit on the ear on this is not super duper good. So actually for some ears, this might not fit that well. Actually for my ear, this doesn't fit really well, so it's kind of a bummer. But the sound here is still very good for me. So top 3, Sabat X12. Alright, number 2 in our list is another Sabat. This is the Sabat E12 Ultra. So the main difference of this compared to the X12s is this is an in-ear design. So this is a V-shaped sound and also bass boosted at the bottom. Actually, a lot more bass boosted compared to what you get with the X12 Ultra. So compared to the X12 Ultra, this is smoother in presentation, more bassy, actually a lot more bassy, and also kind of warm in presentation, smooth in presentation. So the bass is boomy, forward, and punchy. So for bass heads, this is your pick. Front and center in the mix. The vocal region is a little bit more rich compared to the X12 Ultra, less laid back, and also more revealing. The highs are similar, the stage is similar. Now the major improvement here is the body and the sound. So this fuller body compared to what you get with the X12 Ultra, and that might be because of the kind of in-ear design, a sealed design in your ear. This is also less airy compared to the X12, but still enough liveliness because it still has some punch. So I super duper like the overall presentation here in the E12 Ultra. Though while I like the overall presentation, my main issue here is the bass bleeds to the mids too much, which sacrifices a bit of vocal region, which makes the vocal region too recessed in the mix for me. So frankly, in the grand scheme of things, I find these equal to the X12 in my favoritism. Because my issue here is the bass is too boosted for me. One hack I did, of course, which makes this number 2 for me, and for me better compared to the E12, is you can EQ this one. I did a -5 dB EQ on the bass here, and after doing that, this is a more perfect TWS now for me, and it made it better compared to the X12 because, as I mentioned, the body here is fuller, smoother in presentation, richer in terms of the sound. After doing the EQ, this is a more perfect in-ear monitor now for me. So definitely, if you're not a bass head, you can get this one, and if you're okay with EQing, just turn down the EQ, and for me, you get a really good sound in this one. But frankly, for me, these two are kind of equal. You know, it will depend on you, what you like. If you like more bass, go with the E12. If you like a more clean sound, go with the X12. So it will be kind of up to you what you prefer. I kind of like, of course, the E12 more. Right now goes to our top one here in the channel in terms of sound, and that goes to the KZ-E10. So actually, the E10, I haven't reviewed this yet because there's a lot of issues with manufacturing. So frankly, I'm not sure until when this will be manufactured, but definitely in terms of sound, this is my favorite out of the bunch. So definitely the 10 driver per side system here really worked. In terms of the overall sound quality, this is my favorite out of the bunch. So right off the bat, this is definitely a lot bigger compared to your Sabats. You know, this is almost 3 times the size. But what I like about this is really stable on the ear. Because it has that ear hooks, you know, I can run with this, I can walk with this, and I'm not worried about it falling off my ear. So pros and cons: bigger but more stable on the ear. So the KZ-E10 is more of a U-shaped sound with a slight bass boost, but bass is a bit more controlled compared to the E12. So definitely less bass compared to the E12. And the main difference here is this has better detailed mid-range, and also actually more detail across the range, more revealing. Bigger stage also, and a more kind of lively sound. So for the Sabats, the stage is the weakness there. So here it is bigger compared to the Sabats. This also has a more kind of aggressive sound, more articulate sound. So the cymbals has more bite in the sound. The vocals have more air in the sound. Still a punchy bass here. So actually for bass heads, you may survive with this one, but you would want that E12 if you're a super duper bass head. This is just alright in terms of the bass. So actually, if I'm gonna nitpick, the vocal region here is still kind of veiled for me. But definitely compared to the other TWS, this is the most revealing, most detailed out of the bunch. Still, I find that I wanna EQ this one to make it fit more of my preference. So I put down the bass around -2 dB and put down also the highs for around -2 to 3 dB. And this makes it more perfect TWS for me. However, my cons with the E10 is it has a manufacturing issue. So I heard a lot of news that a lot of people are not getting good units of the E10. So actually, my unit is good. I didn't have any major issue. However, some people encounter it. So make sure if you're getting it from a shop, test it thoroughly. If you're getting it online, contact the manufacturer if they have a return policy to make sure that you're getting a good unit. So that's unfortunate. This is the best sounding pair, but because of manufacturing issues, you need to be extra careful in these. So to summarize, actually these 5 are all my recommendations. For me personally, you can get either one. If it kind of fits your preference, it will be okay for me. Alright, so that is my top 5 recommendations for TWS here in this channel. Of course, if you want additional information, I will do a full review of each of these. Of course, stay tuned for that here in the channel. Of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And hopefully from this list, you have something to buy in 12/12. Maybe you can get your first TWS into 2019 with this kind of list. And of course, if you have additional questions, let me know also down in the comments below. What TWS did you pick out of all this bunch? What is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments below. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.